June, one of the other things that June is considered Black Music Month, right? So, one of the things that I wanted to do because June is considered Black Music Month is let's see, I wanted to share some I wanted to get into the habit for June, for the month of June, to adding in some music stuff. I'm friends with a lot of different DJs, and I'm trying to figure out a really cool way to kind of incorporate my DJ friend stuff in here. And so, wanted to start out with this at least. So, celebrating Black Music Month. Let me pull this up here. Um, Y'all know who that is, Miss Janelle Monet. Hey. So June is African American Music Appreciation Month, created by the late great President Jimmy Carter in 1979. This month celebrates the African American musical influences that comprise an essential part of our nation's treasured cultural heritage. Formerly called National Black Music Month, this celebration of African American musical contributions is reestablished annually by presidential proclamation, although this year I doubt that'll happen. Um, though by no means exhaustive, we prepared a primer that will guide you through some of the different genres that African Americans have created, inspired, and fostered. All of them, basically. So, sacred music, you guys know that's gospel, African American spiritual and religious music. Earliest form of black musical expression in America, spirituals were based on Christian psalms and hymns and merged with African music styles and secular American music forms. Um, this is actually some gospel people that you, depending on your age, you may or may not know. Even though this is the younger versions of them, I know you can tell who this face is. That is none other than the Reverend Shirley Caesar right there. And she was in a group, gospel group called the Caravans. But at the top is saying this is James Herndon, this is Miss Albertina Walker, um, Inez Andrews, Johnny Aaron, um, Davis, and then Cassetta George and Shirley Caesar. And some of those names you may know, some you may not, depending on what generation and how you were raised. So, folk music, okay? Some people don't realize that, like when I said earlier, all of them, I meant it. Like, Black Americans have created a lot of I ain't gonna say a lot, everything that's happening in America, Black Americans have touched it. Um, Not only because it was just us being creative to get ourselves through a day, whether it was a day as a slave or a day as a new freed Negro in the Americas, or just a day just being black and hoping you don't get shot while you shopping in Walmart. It's like stuff we're creatives, and so we do things to help ourselves get through that. Folk music, African American folk music links back to African culture traditions stemming from field hollers, work chants, game songs. Folk music bursts with social commentary, and like a lot, even with, and I was about to say it before I even read this last line, but popular folk protest music spread in the 1960s, and its influence is still found within hip hop today. When hip hop first started, by the way, I'm older than hip hop. It's hilarious when I say it out loud, but it's true. Um, Hip hop, when it first started out, it was really just different artists that were talking about their lives, what they go through in their daily lives. That's what it was. Now, what it has kind of turned into with the subgenres of the hip hop, genre. Like there, you got trap music. When like artists like NWA and other artists that tend to do the gangster rap or whatever. That's like a sub. But hip hop as a whole is just it's an art form that allows the different artists to really express what's happening in their lives. It first started out, and those of you again, depending on how old you are when you know were born and who you were raised around, we have people like KRS-One and other folks that kind of fell within his type of rap, and it was more of an uplifting, enlightening. Like there was a song called Self Destruction where it talked about how basically as a people, the black community at that time, we were doing stuff that was literally we were self-destructing. Like we were doing stuff to harm ourselves instead of figuring out or thinking ahead and figuring out how to uplift our community. We were falling in the trap of, at the time it was a newer thing, out there selling well, it wasn't that new. Let me reverse that. It wasn't that new. But continuing to fall into the trap of like selling drugs, so you're selling drugs to your own people, you're killing your community type thing, and then artists like, and Queen Latifah, when she first came out, yeah, the UNITY and other stuff, uplifting. So, and there was so many other artists that some are well known, some are not as well known, but when it started out like that, and a lot of folks saw, oh my God, the black people are listening to this. No, we don't want them to do that. We want them to self destruct, which they. And if you watch NWA, the movie, which I'm kind of glad now that they made it. Of course, we lived it, we watched it happening in real life, but there was something that started happening when gangster rap came out. Not to say that Cube and Dre, and Easy E and that whole crew and everybody that was with them were not also just artists telling their truth. Um, Certain individuals saw it as a big money making scheme, and they did what they did, and now you have the current industry where, and there's another young man that I saw. I wish I would have saved his clip. It's on Instagram somewhere. I know it's on there somewhere. I'm gonna find it. But he wrote a song called 360 where he talks about the 360 deal. uh the powers that be make it sound like it's a great thing, but it's not. They take all your money and you get like a third of it back. And not only that, I've seen Young Jock talk about I've seen other hip hop artists sit down, and I've seen clips of them talking about what those deals really are. And who else? Not Jock and what's his name? Nori. They sit and they talk about, what it is. It's a trap. Once they do that little carrot in your face, dangle that money and say, aha, I got money for you. But once you sign on the dotted line, then you always owe them. It's a trap. That's why you see so many artists that once they can escape that, they become independent artists. I didn't mean to go off on that tangent, but folk music, hip hop, yes. Okay, big influence. And this is Richie Havens in this picture. The blues, everybody knows about the blues. Everybody knows about the blues. The blues, came really out of, when our folks was out there having to pick cotton. Even after they were free, they still had people picking cotton. It is what it is. But anyway, the blues formed the foundation of contemporary American music, as did sacred and folk music. The blues also greatly influenced the cultural and social lives of African Americans. Geographically diverse incarnations of the blues arose in various regions, including Mississippi Delta, Memphis, Chicago, Southern Texas. Each regional manifestation of the blues features a uniquely identifiable sound and message. For example, Mississippi Delta blues illustrated the poverty of the region while celebrating its natural and cultural richness. It's like if you're in poverty, you know that you're poor because hello, you can wake up and you see it around you. But at the same time, you still have to have that strength to celebrate life. And what other way to kind of celebrate it in a way is just to sing about it, put it in words. And if anybody go back and watch Cadillac Records, if you've never seen that, um, basically, and the reason it comes to mind is because this young lady right here, this is Etta James. This was telling a part of her story too. Beyonce played her in Cadillac Records, but they showed how there was a guy that went out to the cotton fields and went over to some of the shotgun houses where the farmers the sharecroppers lived, and he went to the people that he knew were musicians and took what is basically a at the time it was their tape recorder, but it was a reel to reel that was just in a sitting down instead of standing up, and recorded them singing. Even took it out to the cotton fields and to the ones that were out there singing and recorded them. And that's where he found well, in the movie or whatever, that's why they found showing that they found Muddy Waters. He was one of the sharecroppers out there, and found now in that movie it shows he basically tried to give them a fair shake at because the guy, of course, in the movie, he's a Jewish guy, which if anybody really knows the history of America, it's a lot of people that just were not welcome. And so you got to give a shout out to the Jewish people, the whole community as a whole. They figured out how to become the ones that you have to ask permission from in a lot of stuff. And if you say anything bad about that community, it's a good chance whatever you have going on could easily get canceled by the powers that be. They went from being the ones that got, you know, looked at crazy and talked to crazy to the ones where, now you got to go to them and ask them about stuff because it's the whole history of America just it taps into so many different communities. It's crazy. Anyway, yeah, so the blues, and Etta James is one of the people that definitely is famous. Hey, Tina Bridges definitely is famous for her part that she did in the blue in with the blues culture, the blues genre. And a lot of people, her most famous song that I'm trying to think, it's actually more than one. It's like two that people really, 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 really sing a lot. But At Last is one of the ones that people will probably normally think of when you see Etta James. Military music, um, getting with Revolutionary War, African Americans have always held a significant role in the armed services, military band tradition. You got jazz. Everybody knows about jazz. Um, let's see. This was Count Basie in this picture. Rhythm and blues. Look at who they got on here for rhythm and blues. R&B, rhythm and blues, R&B. Predecessor to soul music, R&B is another stylistically diverse genre with roots in jazz, the blues, and gospel music. None other than my girl, Mary J. She came out in the 90s. I remember when she came out. Rock and roll, believe it or not. Yes, created by black people. I know people just, forget about all of that. Rock and roll music incorporates elements from all African American music genres and combines them with American pop and country music components. The genre was born in the 1950s. Yeah, they really like to not, and of course, you know what this is. It's Little Richard, a young Little Richard. Hip hop and rap. Yep. The lady pictured right there is MC Light. Hip hop and rap are musical traditions firmly embedded in African American culture, like jazz, hip hop, has become a global phenomenon and has exerted a driving force on the development of mass media. It spawned an entire culture form, while rap remains a means for artists to voice opinions and share experiences regarding social and political issues. That is MC Light, pictured right there. And as this says, the list of musical styles merely scratches the surface. Just ah, In addition to the genres previously detailed, African American musicians and artists have also developed and influenced classical music traditions, country and western music, pop music, and dance music such as disco, techno, house, among other genres and styles. Millions of people around the globe listen to and are touched by music that carries elements of African American musical traditions. The thing that trips me out the most is as much stuff as we influence, as much stuff as we influence, um, they try to act like we don't do anything, which I don't understand. So this right here is something that's happening this year. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't mean to stop sharing. Ah, there we go. Let me get back to it. Okay, so this right here, um, Black Music Month challenge, something that's happening this year for 2026. Make sure you follow. Well, I'm sharing this from my friend Sweet Tea, sharing it from her page. But make sure you check this out, and you can probably just search for Black Music Month Challenge to see what's happening. Um, and what I wanted to do to like I said, I have a lot of different DJ friends, and I wanted to try to incorporate them in here somewhere for the month of June at least. And so, what I wanted to do today, this is the first week of June, is introduce to some and present to others a young lady that I have known for pretty much the entire time that I have been here in the Atlanta, Georgia area. She is from New York, one of the coolest people that I'm glad the universe allowed our paths to cross. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is DJ Aquaria.
Now here's a funky introduction of how nice I am. Need the 5 foot funky introduction of how nice I am. 5 foot funky introduction of how nice I am. Tell your mother, tell your father, send a telegram. I kicks the mad style. I kicks the mad style. So step off the Frankfurt. The Frankfurt. Frankfurt. You're on point five. All the time, Tip. You're on point five. All the time, Tip. You're on point five. All the time, Tip.
Ladies and gentlemen, DJ Aquaria. I freaking love her whole vibe. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.